Hey there, Schism. Got a 2,500 point pitch battle for you. Warriors of Chaos versus Skaven. Starting on the left, my opponent has a Rat Ogre Dart here with two Rat Ogres and a Packmaster. And up front here in the building, in front of the building, you can see scouted up. He's got 6 of these Gutter Runners with their slings. And he's got a Hell Pit Abomination to the right of that. For the Long Ripe Giselles there. Behind that, he's got his Warp Lightning Cannon. Next to that, he's got 30 slaves. Then he's got a big unit here with all his characters in it. It's 30, 40 clan rats here. He's got his level 4 Grey Seer, Obsidian Lodestone, and a Dispel Scroll. Got a BSB, the Banner of Eternal Flame, and a Great Weapon. And then there's a General Warlord on a Bonebreaker, Ogre, Talisman of Preservation, Scum, and Charm Shield. And that guy's just putting out a boatload of attacks. And as you can see, his Grey Seer here is in the 2nd rank, so I won't be able to suicide snipe him or anything like that, since he's pretty well protected. And then we have another whole swath here of slaves. Attached to that big unit of clan rats with all his characters, he's got a poison wind, a poison mortar there, and then he's got in the back there 20 more clan rats with a poison wind mortar. And in front of that, he's got 30 more slaves. To the right, he's got another Warp Lightning Cannon. And on his far right, he's got the Doom Wheel. Starting on my left, I got my Dags. Then I have my Dragon Ogres right there. Next to that, I got my Gorby's Chariot with a Mark and Nurgle. And then I got my unit of 24 warriors, sword and board with a Mark and Nurgle. And then to the right of that, there is another Gorby's Chariot with a Mark and Nurgle. Then I have my General, my Demon Prince with Wings, Chaos Armor, Scaled Skin, Charm Shield, Dragonbane Gem, Sword of Striking, Soul Feeder, and a Mark and Nurgle right in the center there. To the right of that, I got 22 Warriors of Chaos, Sword and Board, Mark and Nurgle. I got my BSB with Mark and Nurgle, Dawnstone, Shield, and a Dragon Helm. And then my level 3's in there with a Dispel Scroll, Mark and Nurgle as well. And then I have another Gorby's Chariot with a Mark of Nurgle. For spells, I rolled up Curse of the Leper again, which is awesome because I love that spell. Plague Wind, not my favorite, but we'll see. And Rancid's Visitations. I still have yet to cast that one, so maybe I'll find an opportunity here. And then rounding out my right flank, I got 3 more Dragon Ogres, which I love here because his Doom Wheel is there, and I get my nice 2-up ward, and I'll get Frenzy if he happens to zap it. But I also have 5 Warhounds rounding out my force. Now, it's cool with the Dragon Ogres because it's very rare you get a chance to actually try and use their 2-up ward versus lightning, and it just so happens that, circumstances where the Dragon Ogres might actually prove to be more useful than they would in a normal game. So I'm kind of excited. I hope to make some 2-up ward saves this game, but we'll see. Now, I actually get the first turn here, which is paramount in this sort of matchup, and I'm quite excited. And as you can see, I just throw my Dragon Ogres up 14 inches, and the rest of my army moves up as fast as they can. And you can see my Demon Prince out there leading the force because I'm just hoping he can survive, and I just want to plunge him straight into that Clan Rat unit with all the characters and just start challenging out. I mean, I see that, and that's all his points are in that one unit, and I just want to go there and just start eating flesh from bone. So, and here you can see it from the other side. The Dragon Ogre's moved up 14 inches, and I'm just kind of ignoring the Gutter Runners there. So, my turn 1 magic. The only thing I can really do is I cast a Plague Wind, and I really haven't had any luck with this spell. But on level 3, I believe I roll a 4, so the Plague Wind goes 12 inches forward straight. I'm headed straight for those the clan rats with the slaves and the mortar there. So pretty uneventful. Skaven turn 1, his Doom Wheel moves up to take care of my Dags, and I'm okay with that because it leaves the Doom Wheel way over here. And his Hell Pit moves up to try and threat my Dragon Ogres. Now, I don't know what sort of matchup that is, but I really don't want to find out. So, there it is. His Rat Ogre fails his Frenzy check, and he charges my Dags here on the far left, and he fails his charge promptly, so I'm happy about that. And he fires his warp lightning cannon on the left there, and it hits my demon prince and bounces straight onto the Gorby's chariot, and even nicks my BSB, who makes his lookout, sir. So a warrior gets fried in the unit. My Gorby's chariot takes 3 wounds, and my demon prince takes 2. And I got lucky because he got it past my. Well, he first fired his Giselles at my demon prince, and that got rid of my charm shield. So I blew my charm shield in that, and then he fired this cannonball shot. So, he hit me no problem. He wounded me no problem. I failed my 5-up ward, and I got lucky he rolled a 2 for the amount of wounds he did. So I'm already starting to sweat, but I'm still in the game. So, and his Doom Wheel tries to take his lightning shots at the hounds. He rolls a misfire, and he rolls where he goes in a random direction, and he actually starts rolling away from me. So, not so bad. I'd rather have him go after the dogs and keep him farther away. Now he's headed more towards the middle of the battle again. But what can I do? At least I still got my dags. His poison sling dudes here open up on my dragon ogres. They take off 2 wounds. My turn 2. So I really don't hesitate, and I don't wait, and I take my demon prince and I just charge him straight into his unit with all his characters. And this is when I find out he has assassins. So he has the assassin here on the left with a blade of corruption and the other trickster's shard, and he has the asshat assassin here with a potion of strength and weeping blades. So yeah, so it's not going to be quite as juicy target as I thought it was going into this unit, but now I got my work cut out for me. My dragon ogres, I wheel. I charge the slaves there in front of the fence. I wheel around, so I go past the Hell Pit Abomination there. So I'm happy about that. And then on the right flank, my dragon ogres go into this unit of slaves. So I'm happy about that. Now, I've never fought slaves, but I'm assuming weapon skill 2 and toughness 3 should be no match for dragon ogres. So I'm quite ecstatic about that. And I move my hounds past the Doom Wheel because I'm not even going to bother trying to go after it. So there they are moving up. And yeah, if I've ever not had any faith in dragon ogres after this combat, it's just, oh. They go in there, and the clan rats just roll on fire. The slaves, excuse me, of all things, they take off the other dragon ogre. They get rid of 4 attacks, and I completely whiff my attacks. I kill maybe 1 or 2 of them. I lose the combat, and I flee from slaves. So there I am, my almost 200 point unit of dragon ogres fleeing away from 40 points of slaves, if that. Yeah, good job, dragon ogres. In the combat here, my demon prince issues a challenge, and the asshat assassin accepts the challenge. Over here, these dragon ogres do a whopping 12 wounds to these slaves. Now, this is what I expected to happen when dragon ogres go into slaves, and I'm happy at least it happened here, so I have some sort of renewed faith in them. So 12 slaves bite the dust, and they go pop because I managed to kill enough so their ranks were out of the general's leadership, so they go pop. And over here you can see where my demon prince was. He no longer is. His asshat assassin with the potion of strength, so he's strength 7. He has always strike first. He's initiative 8. I'm initiative 8, so he goes first. And he rolls pretty well. And he gets to re-roll his hits, and he's strength 7. And he does 2 wounds to me, and I make 1 ward save. But then he's got that D3 wounds, and he rolls a 3, and yeah, it's Kaputski. So yeah, my turn 2, my general's dead. So yeah, his rat ogre here, he fails his frenzy check. This time he makes it to my dags. So No good for the Dags. His hell pit goes for my Gorby's Chariot, and he rolls a 5, and he needed, as you can see, a 6, maybe a 7. So I was lucky. So now at least I'll be able to get the charge off on this hell pit. Hopefully do some damage before he starts just feasting. And this one here is... where'd I get this one wound? Oh, it was a Plague Wind Mortar. That's what it was. He aimed it at my war unit and it scattered all the way over and did a wound on my chariot. So a lucky scatter if there ever was one. His rat ogres here, they mop up my dogs and have to overrun. So they're well out of the fight now. So I think that was a good use of 30 points of dogs. Over here, his doom wheel went cascaded straight into my 5 dags and promptly obliterated him. And then when he went to overrun, when he was going through the terrain, he rolled a 1. And then he rolled a 5 for the amount of wounds, so his doom whale just bit the dust. So that's quite fortunate. I was most pleased about that. That's one less thing I have to worry about. And my turn 3, my dragon ogres here. Is a picture of them lined up to take a charge straight into whichever I choose. And I choose the doom... or the warp lightning cannon here, and my Gorby's Chariot makes it through the woods unscathed into this unit of 20 clan rats. And my warrior unit with my characters makes it into this long unit of slaves. My Gorby's Chariot double teams them, and you can see my other unit of warriors way up there make it into his other unit of slaves. So charges across the board. Here's another picture you can see. I connected with everything. And during the magic phase, I cast Curse of the Leper on my Gorby's Chariot and I get +3 toughness. So I got a toughness 9 Gorby's Chariot. And I did this because I didn't want the Hell Pit Abomination to go into my Gorby's Chariot. And I didn't charge because I knew if I charged the Hell Pit, odds are he'd probably mop up my chariot. But at least now I still have my chariot and he has to charge me. So it should keep the hell pit out of everything else for one more turn if all goes according to plan. But making it toughness 9 makes that a far less desirable target for his hell pit. So in hindsight, there would have been a better target for that spell, but that was my thought process. I figured he was going to put his hell pit into my Gorby's, try and get rid of it, and toughness 9 would make that 9 impossible. So my Gorby's Chariot goes in there. I do 6 or 7 impact hits, and I kill 6 or 7 alone. And the crew goes. There's barely anything left. And he flees, and I run him down. And I overrun straight into his Poison Wind Globadier thing there, or Plague Mortar there. And then my Dragon Oars promptly take care of that Lightning Cannon and reform to face the rest of the army. And when I cast that Curse of the Leper, I did roll a 6, so my Sorcerer Lord there is +1 wound and +1 toughness, which is always nice. I'll take it, put that in the bank, and hopefully never have to cash out. So there you have it. In combat, I take out a couple ranks plus a few more. He doesn't do any wounds to me because he's hitting me on 6s on my warriors units there with Mark and Nurgle, weapon skill 2 on weapon skill 5. He's just swinging at air. But his general's right there. He's steadfast on a 10 with all his ranks, so he sticks around. My warriors go in there, and they pop goes the weasels on the Skaven slaves, and the detonation actually took out one of his Giselles, which is always nice. So I'll take it. And I reform my warriors to face his general's unit there with all his characters in it because I don't want to take them in the rear. And when I realized, this is when I realized now that I opened up my rear to his Hell Pit Abomination, which is not good. But I'd rather the Hell Pit in my rear than his ranked up unit with all his characters in it. So those warriors were kind of stuck in a tricky spot, and this is when I realized it. And this is where I thought to myself, I should have just put Curse of the Leper on this warrior unit. But hindsight's 20/20, so. And there you go, Skaven. Turn 3, he takes his help, it turns around and just rams it right into my Hanus. And yeah, so I mean, he's only touching because the Gorby's Chariot's there. He's only touching 2 of my warriors, so I'm only getting 4 attacks at this thing. So it's just happy meal time for it, which is best case scenario for him, worst case scenario for me. And his magic phase, I forgot to mention his magic phase. Turn 1, he rolled double ones for his first spell. Turn 2, I tried to scorch my warrior unit with all my characters, and I dispelled it, and then he 6 dice the horned rat spell, and I dispel scrolled it. And this is turn 3, and he rolled double ones for his first spell again. So Skaven magic has been completely nullified up to this point. Not a single spell has gone off. That's why I haven't really made any mention of it. So he also takes his Lord on his Bonebreaker Ogre out of his unit, and he charges it into my Gorby's Chariot to try and add some combat res here and bail his slaves out. And then he just moves up his clan rat unit with the rest of his characters to face off against my warrior unit. And this this Dragon Ogre is getting pelted by the gutter runners with the poison slings, and yeah, so the other Dragon Ogre got taken out completely, and this one's already got a wound on it. So these Dragon Ogres are not long of this world if they're gonna keep taking these shots. In the combat here, you can see he just completely munched down, 7 or 8. I think he took out 8 of my Chaos Warriors, and I didn't even touch him with my 2 attacks. But I'm still steadfast, so I reformed. I passed my test to reform, so now I'm facing him, and I gave my backup now to this ranked up unit. But I gotta try and take out this hell pit. This can't keep going on. So there I am. In the combat here, I just take all my attacks and I focus them on the slaves unit, and I do enough combat res to win the combat. And his warlord on the Bonebreaker swung at the Gorby's Chariot, and with Mark and Nurgle and toughness 6 and my 3-up armor, he didn't get any wounds off on it. So yeah, so there you have it. The warlord there is running away since he doesn't have the ranks. He's not steadfast or anything like that. So he used testing on double ones. My turn 4. I take my Dragon Ogre and I move him up in front of his unit with all his characters to try and bait him out so he doesn't charge my warriors in the rear. Now, I don't know quite, frankly, if I was actually blocking his charge off here, but this is as far as it could go, and I at least wanted to make it, at least give him an option or just get him maybe so he wouldn't be able to maximize completely, get the most amount of attacks. I was just trying to throw him up here, and I needed to get him the hell away from those gutter runners because the poison slings would have definitely done him in. So I thought this to be the best use of him. I take my Dragon Ogres on the far right here, and I slam him into the side of his Skaven slave unit, and I know at this point if that's not lights out for these slaves, I don't know what will be. I get off Curse of the Leper again, and I throw it. I irresistible force Curse of the Leper here, and I throw it on my warrior unit, and I get +3 again. So now I got toughness 7 warriors. So that should make that rear charge a lot less appealing to his ranked up hero unit there. And in the miscast, I take a wound on my sorcerer, and that's it. So now he's back down to 3 wounds. The Gorby's Chariot on the top right here takes care of that mortar and faces the other mortar. And you can see that the slave unit in this picture just completely got folded. So it went pop. And I tried to overrun with the Dragon Ogres, but I came 1 inch away from getting into his hero unit in the side. So most unfortunate for me, most fortunate for him. And then I reform my Gorby's Chariot to face his hero unit and my warrior unit with my characters, and they just kind of got left out in the wind here. So they're just reformed to face behind the Dragon Ogres, facing the rest of his units here. And there's just, you can see there's a better picture of it all. You can see where the slaves here went pop. So, In this combat here, since my warrior is with toughness 7, he takes all his attacks on his hell pit, and everything he has goes on to the Gorby's chariot. He managed to do 4 wounds to the Gorby's chariot, but I also managed, between the Gorby's chariot and the warriors, I did 4 wounds to the hell pit abomination, which is quite fantastical. So hopefully I'll be able to drag him down next combat. He's only got 1 wound left. So it went better than I expected here. His turn 4, he took his hero unit with all his clan rats, and he just dual charged both my units here, my Gorby's chariot and my dragon ogre. I don't know how I feel about this, but it's what I have to deal with. His general on his rat ogre fails the rally and flees off the board. His warp lightning cannon takes aim and just completely annihilates my Gorby's chariot. So there's 1 Gorby's chariot down. And in the combat here, he just goes straight through my my Gorby's chariot. It only had 1 wound left on it, and he takes care of the dragon ogre. So, and he overruns, and he just tries to get out. He's trying to get out of the charge arc on my dragon ogres and my warriors, and he needed to roll high, but he didn't roll high enough. So, to get out of the charge arc of my my warriors. So most unfortunate for him. And in the combat on the far left, my warriors and my Gorby's chariot managed to topple the hell pit abomination. So they just reformed to face the middle, and you can see the clan rat sandwich we got going on here. So they're just right in the middle there. So in my turn 5, I take my dragon ogres, I charge them out of the way, so open up the lane for my chaos warriors with my heroes in it. So the dragon ogres go into the warp lightning cannon to take care of that. My Gorby's chariot comes into the side, and I pin his Grey Seer in there, and there's also an assassin there. And he takes his other assassin in the front of the unit that was still free to move around, and he makes way with him all the way to the last rank, so he's facing off against my Sorcerer Lord, which is not good news for me, but it's crunch time now, so I have to get in there. My Exalted BSB has to issue a challenge, so his paw leader accepts it there, and I promptly dispatch him, and I get myself a nice handy +1 ballistic skill, which is always nice. In the combat here, you can see his assassin goes first and just decimates my toughness 5 Sorcerer Lord. So there goes my magic phase. But an eye for an eye, my Gorby's chariot allocates all his attacks on his Grey Seer and takes him out of the battle. So in this 1 round of combat, there goes both sides magic uses. And then both my units just go to town on his clan rats here, and you can see the decimation that they wreaked. So yeah, and then the dragon ogres clean up that warp lightning cannon. And it was at this point, as you can see here, with all the carnage, yeah, my opponent decides to call the game because there's not much else going to happen besides he's going to get grinded down to nothing. So yeah, so that was the game. Some side notes here. I definitely lucked out on the Skaven magic. He legitimately didn't get off a single spell the entire game, and he had a level 4 Grey Seer. Between failing to cast on double ones in multiple turns, and just being able to dispel the spells when they came up, and he just rolled poorly in general with his magic. So that was awesome. Also, the Doom Wheel's untimely demise was quite fortunate for myself. That's one less thing I have to deal with, and Doom Wheels are always a problem. They always seem to be in the flanks or the rears of everything. So that was a blessing. The Dragon Ogres finally showed up. I have to take my hats off to them. One unit did pretty poorly, but the other unit were aces. I think that one unit of Dragon Ogres was by far the MVP. They dispatched, a whole bunch of slaves, and a whole bunch more slaves, 2 warp lightning cannons. They were just there when I needed them. So I wish I could say I proved that they're effective against weapon skill 2, toughness 3, no armor opponents, but that one time the other unit there went up against some slaves and got their butts handed to them. So um, I don't know if I'm fully confident in him yet, but at least I know there's some shining hope there. My Sorcerer Lord, second game in a row, he's been just picked out of a unit. He really can't catch a break. In both games, he got toughness 5 and an extra wound, and he still seems to go down. So maybe this is a sign I should think about giving him some sort of defensive kit. But I think that's pretty hard considering I don't have the points with that Demon Prince. Assassins. Ow. Just ow. I have never gone up against assassins before. I don't see them too often. When other people use them, even if it's not against me. But ow. Yeah, definitely something to be. If you roll well with assassins, yeah, they could take out anything, and which was evidenced with that Demon Prince. Wow. Curse of the Leper. Again, every time I get this spell, it's amazing. I'd be sad if I ever have to play a game without it. Solid spell. I mean, you really can't go wrong with it. Also, the biggest side note from this battle I can take from it is a solid performance despite the Demon Prince going down turn 2. He didn't even get to swing his weapon, and still got to pull out a resounding victory here. So that was a good boon of confidence, that now I know that my army can still, perform without the Demon Prince on the board. So that was quite the awesome game. I want to thank my opponent for that, and thank you.